Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater show. My name is Regan, aka the Manhater, even though I don't hate men. And this is my co host.
My name is Chesko!
And I'm back, baby!
And I'm back, baby! I have to apologize, by the way. I promised our audience last week that I would make every video saying that.
Not a single one.
Not a single one. And
You're a liar.
in part, I've actually had a lot of serious content this week.
You said even if it was a serious
I
video
know,
asking for
I know.
donations.
And then I don't know. I have a lot of confidence issues.
You should have said, I'm Chesky Bounce Back.
Chesky bounce back.
And I'm back,
And I'm
baby!
back, babe. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today. Today I will make a video.
Did you realize you added baby at the end?
Yeah, I didn't realize that wasn't in it either. It seems right though. It
It
feels like
does. It feels good.
there was an implied baby there.
Yeah, I felt it. There was an undercurrent of baby. No, that sounds horrible. No, no, no.
All right.
That's like in the pre-show. Chesko was talking about babysitting, and then he was saying he changed it to woman sitting, and it did not sound right.
That makes it sound like I was saying something entirely different than what we were talking about.
No, there was a woman with the name of a babysitter he uses, and then we were saying that we would be babysitting her.
Join the pre-show if you want to see and make me not sound like a terrible person. Today we're talking about
A terrible person.
Reagan's favorite singer, Kid Rock.
Don't spread lies about me.
Theme song.
Ugh.
You want bad advice? Man, I'll give it out gladly. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.
It's not my. I
I'm sorry, he's just one of your favorites.
no. I clocked his grungy self
Mhm.
since literally when I was watching Joe Dirt. If you're the sketchiest person in Joe Dirt,
I mean, the fact that you were watching Joe Dirt.
I know that says a lot about me.
I was watching him on TRL, and anything on TRL I was okay with at the time. For those of you that are too young to know what that reference is, Total Request Live was an after-school show on MTV Music Television,
After
which
school,
also,
it was an
yeah, it was at
after-school
3, it would come on
show.
at 3:30 p.m. or 4. What time that's after school? It wasn't during school. It was everyone would come home from school, at least I was in high school at the time, and you'd watch TRL and it would be the countdown, and it always pissed me off because they never played the full videos.
That's
It's,
true.
even at the top, the number one song should at least get their full video.
Agreed.
Anyways,
Carson Daly, who always was weird. I always gave me
always
weird
a little. I
vibes.
don't. Does he have any problematic? Probably,
I would guess so, but
but
that's
maybe
just
not. Maybe we were lucky, and he's
a guy.
just just a dude back then. But anyway, we didn't know any better at the time. It was whatever was fed to us as our music. That was what we consumed. But there was no real. I mean, internet was around back then. This is real old for anybody that is.
The TV was black and
I don't
white.
know. I feel like our audience is probably millennial.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's probably so. I mean, maybe not to the younger millennials, but to the older millennials, you
you guys
understand.
get it.
Yeah, or Gen Xers that are in here. We would watch TRL. That's what introduced us to Britney, introduced us
Oh
to
my God.
Xtina, the Backstreet Boys, and
Xtina.
Sync.
Mm-hmm.
Were you Team Backstreet or Team NSYNC?
I was unfortunately Team NSYNC.
I knew it. There was not a doubt in my mind.
I loved JT with a passion.
I get it.
No, we don't get it. We're not.
No, at
We're
the
Team
time,
Britney.
we're putting ourselves back in the era. I actually didn't. I even this. I have. If there was a, if I could somehow access my old live journal, I've been a Justin Timberlake hater since the NSYNC days.
I'm proud of you.
I thought JC was the backbone
He
of
was.
NSYNC.
They
No?
changed it. He was originally. That's why in the earliest songs he has lead vocals, and then JT's like, "Nah, actually, me though. Me and my ramen Noodle hair.
When you look at it, they could have gotten rid of, like, as far as music. I know JT had the whole, like, he was a star at the time, whatever. Like, he was famous, but like as far as the pure music is concerned, he was the least important member of the band. Chris could have handled the high vocals. You got Lance bringing down the bass.
He was the bad boy. Remember, he used to beatbox.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how street he was?
Oh yeah, with his top ramen hair.
I already made that joke. You just don't listen to me. I swear to God. I remember there was it was like the Grammys or something, and he had to beatbox in front of other adults, a lot of men, and that dude was sweating it. You could tell he was like, this is not the audience I'm used to. I'm used to a bunch of like high school girls screaming for me no matter what I do. Do you remember when he performed right after him and Britney broke up? Yeah. And he's like, chicka Timberlake. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh God. You could cut to her and she was like, like it was so good. I can't believe we didn't know that we didn't see that.
Favorite deep track of NSYNC?
Favorite deep track?
Like they're non-hits. What was your favorite?
They're non-hits? Mm-hmm. The one that I think about the most is Digital Get Down.
Digital Get Down.
It's so inappropriate. Down, just you and me. 20,000 miles away, but I can see you. It's like, wait, what? I was singing that at the top of my lungs, and then I'm like, was that about internet sex? Like, what are we doing here?
Well, yeah, Space Cowboy would probably be yeah.
That had a good music. That had a good music video. I remember that.
Backstreet Boys, though, I stand by. Aside from apparently Brian Luttrell end up being like a terrible like trumper.
Nick Cannon also has many allegations. So
is he really? Oh God! But as far as pure music, we're going back to the 90s, early 2000s.
All of them were trash. Like
they were a superior band.
I mean,
I saw both live, and I stand by Backstreet Boys put on a better live show as well.
I saw Backstreet Boys, and I stand by that Nick Carter saw me in the audience, pointed at me specifically.
You said Nick Cannon a second ago. That threw me off. I was like,
Nick Carter.
Also, Nick Cannon has. That's probably.
They've all fallen. No, Nick Carter pointed at me and flew over to me. That was my first concert.
I took it was during the Millennium Tour. That was I took my niece because my uncle didn't want to take her, and so he was like, "Would you? Can I pay you $50 to take her?" And I was like,
"And I get to see Backstreet Boys."
I was a huge Backstreet Boys fan, and I was like, "I guess if you pay me $50,
do I have to stay for the whole thing?" Or
oh man! And I remember the worst part about it was there was a long bathroom line. Because there was like 5 guys in the entire stadium, there was also a line of women out of the thing, and so I missed a bunch of the concert trying to find a bathroom.
That's how it is.
I did get pointed at by the Backstreet Boys though, because they said something like, "Where are the guys at?" And it was like me and 12 other dads.
I don't know that he actually did point at me, but at the time, I for sure knew that he did. So
just to nip this in the bud for anybody asked about it, favorite deep track Backstreet Boys song for me would probably be "Don't Want You Back," although I did really like Spanish Eyes.
What was the one where the call? Listen, baby, I'm soft.
Hurry.
You want to tell me don't worry?
Hurry. That was on their single. That was their first single.
Is it?
That was their first single off that
No,
album.
it wasn't.
They have a music video for it.
That wasn't their first single.
Yes, it was. They premiered it on off of that album. That was the album.
I was like, that wasn't their
followed Millennium.
That song got me so good. I look back. How many of those songs were just men treating women like shit? Like all of them. Confessions by Usher. I was like, I'm in love. I'm in love. And the whole song is him like,
it's just,
I got somebody else pregnant. And I did not tell you until now. But don't leave me because look at these abs. It's what he does in the music video. He breaks a mirror and he takes off his shirt and dances around. And I was like, this man has no flaws. And I take that argument. Not guilty.
Do you know the background behind why some of these songs had like nonsensical lyrics though? Have you heard about this? Like like you are my fire, the one.
Yeah. Oh, the one where the writer who's not the
Yeah,
American.
English was not, he didn't speak English very well, but he made
Yes.
good music. And so they hired someone to remake it, and they remade it with actual lyrics that make sense.
Uh-huh.
And people hated it.
Yep. Well, there was the same thing. Hit me, give me a sign, hit me, baby, one more time.
Hmm.
He thought that meant hit on you, and
Uh-huh.
but none of us said anything.
None of
We're
us
like,
cared. We're like, yeah, you are
yes,
my fire,
fire,
the one
one desire.
believe when
When
I
I
say
say
I
I
want
want
it
it
that.
that way,
What?
tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing
Okay, we
but a
can't have it. No,
mistake.
no.
Tell
We
me why.
no, this episode can't be like 10 minutes of us singing Backstreet Boys for the
I think
love of
that's
God.
all people want to hear.
I can't believe we just did that.
I would have kept going. I would not have stopped. I would
I
have gone through
know,
the
that's
entire thing.
why I hit the brakes. We're not
Uh,
even on topic. We're not talking about them
did you know that
today.
Kevin from the Backstreet Boys lives in my town? Yeah,
Which-
people have told me Santa Clarita. It's a big city, so I don't mind
Yeah.
saying it out loud. But people have told me they've seen him at Target, and I'm like, I just want to run into him one day.
It'd be like, you
Yeah.
are my fire.
Oh no, you have to go to his verse. Now I can see that we're falling apart. But I hate that I knew exactly what his verse was.
Yeah, that was telling.
I don't hate it. I'm proud of this. I don't have any shame
Well,
about
and
it.
I think didn't Brian have vocal cord problems too or
Yeah.
something? Because now you can tell.
Yeah,
It's-
he's not. He doesn't hold up. Although I did want to. I almost drove to Vegas to go see them in concert they're there right now.
Well,
Ooh.
there is quite a bit on Nick that you might want to.
I didn't go. I didn't. Okay.
Well, I
didn't do
tell
it.
you what, I don't want to see. Actually, my friend did a contest with Pepsi. Like it was one of those like send in, millions of people are sending it in. Like send in this code for a chance to do this. She won. She got to go to the Super Bowl and see Justin Timberlake.
Ugh.
And I did not
Which
squash.
at the time probably felt great.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't. It was not that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. Never mind.
But it was
Who-
it was before.
Who are the okay people we can like? I think Lance from NSYNC is
Lance
still
is
good,
okay.
right?
Mhm.
Howie, I guess
Howie's
from
fine.
BS Boy. There's nothing.
JC. Okay, can we talk about this? Remember when JC went
I
solo
swear
and
we have a topic for the show.
when JC went solo and his first out of the gate song was "Some Girls Dance with Women," knowing that it gets them attention. I want to get in with. I was like, bro,
It was so. The problem was it
they're
was so.
gay. They're gay
I think-
women.
Did he write those himself or something, or like what happened? Because he's such a good voice. Like nobody can deny it vocally.
Well, and
How good he is at singing.
He didn't let him sing. Like that song is talking. Some
Yeah,
girls
that's a
dance
little.
with
It wasn't
women.
even. Yeah.
And I was just like, either they're lesbians. It just was the idea of like, when girls dance on girls, they just are waiting on a man to get in
It's
there.
what
Like,
it is. They're like,
no.
look at this,
And then they made out and went home together.
man.
Oh my
Wild.
God.
I didn't give in though.
They wanted me so bad.
Then they got married and raised a family, and I was like, come on, get over me already.
We get the bit.
I'm
We get
not
it.
giving in.
I'm back, baby.
I'm JC and I'm back, baby. Oh, Joey's good too. Joey's fine, right? Isn't there any Joey
I
Fatone?
don't think there's. Didn't he
don't
do
think-
Broadway stuff?
Yeah, I think so. All right, so we got to start a band with Joey, Lance. I think Kevin's fine.
One of them
And,
did
uh,
something
and Howie.
shitty where like I think Joey's the one that was on Broadway, right? There was
Yeah,
like something that
I think
happened
so.
where Joey was on Broadway and like
Mhm.
they all went and saw Justin and like didn't come to a show or something. It was something like that where they all were being dicks.
There was a running joke because I had a minor feud with Lance Bass online for a little while. Did you-
What?
This is before we were mutuals. It was a joke.
What?
It was a joke.
Oh,
feud.
okay.
Because I admitted that I didn't include any NSYNC songs in my top 5 boy band songs of of the era.
You might as well just shots fired on that one.
I know. And so I stand by my list, but I made a video about it and then he stitched it. And so and the running joke though was that when I was in my 20s, I looked like Lance Bass, and I've somehow aged into Joey Fatone.
By the way, just to fact check myself, NSYNC skipped Joey Fatone's Broadway debut to go to Justin Timberlake's show.
Wow.
After what he did to you, he ditched you guys to go solo.
Well, I'm guessing not all of NSYNC because Joey was there.
Well, they skipped, so the rest of them, instead of going to his debut, they went and saw Justin sing again.
Like they haven't heard it before.
Yeah, I would put money down that he was the guy at rehearsals. He would go to the bathroom. They'd be like, Jesus Christ, this one. Why does he keep rapping? Make him stop beatboxing. Like in pop, oh my God. I would have wanted to, no.
Yeah.
Yikes. Now he wants to bring them back. They did a song on Trolls because he's like, I don't think people like me. I need
solo. I think something wrong. And maybe we just get rid of my name and just go back to NSYNC.
Hey guys, people don't like my bad actions. Could you?
They don't like that I'm being a horrible person.
Remember when I was horrible to Janet Jackson and blamed her for ripping her shirt off? Well, looks like people have a memory, and they remember that.
I think we should need it. Backstreet Degrees of NSYNC, a super band. We'll add in what's his face, the blonde guy from 98 Degrees. The one that was the nobody knows his name. Is that no, not Nick was the main one. The blonde guy was the third guy.
I don't know the third guy.
He had the bleach blonde. I know, exactly. That's the point. You bring
it was not his brother. The one that was not. No,
the other one. The other one that nobody talked about.
We'll throw him in.
You bring in some members of O-Town. Although
New Kids on the Block, maybe.
At least bring in. Well, what was his name? What's the name of? He had.
That was before my time.
Yeah, I remember not liking NSYNC as a little boy because I was like, no, NSYNC, or not NSYNC, New Kids. No, they're gross. New Edition all the way. Bringing does Boys to Men count as a boy band? This is a debate I've had a lot. I consider them so far above boy band music.
I know,
that I don't talk about
talent-wise.
Yeah, it's like and this is not to say that boy bands did not make good music or don't have good singers, but Boys to Men is like one of the greatest singing.
I don't feel qualified to answer that question, and I will not. But I would be shocked if people would classify them at the level of boy band.
Right. But somebody got mad at me for making my listing of boy bands and then not including them. I was like, yeah, if I was going to list the top 5 boy band songs and included Boys to Men, it would just be 5 Boys to Men songs.
Did we want to get on topic or?
I guess so. We're like 30 minutes into the show now. I'll talk about this. I'll just do a podcast on.
We've unfortunately hit something we both are very interested in. So what are we talking about today?
So, Ba With Da Ba, Kid Rock was asked. For some reason, he was asked this because we care politically about what Kid Rock has to say.
Yes, he is the greatest mind. Mm-hmm.
And he was asked on why he thinks the birth rate in the U.S. is declining.
No.
And this is an exact quote from Kid Rock.
Oh God, I'm gonna scream.
It just hit me right now because I don't even feel comfortable reading. I'm gonna read it. Okay.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
This is Kid Rock. I need to be clear.
Cut this, make a super cut and put it on and make it sound like these are your words. I got it.
It just hit me right now because who's gonna sleep with these ugly ass, broke, crazy, deranged, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, liberal women? I mean, please, this is Kid Rock.
You have to get through this.
I know. Okay. I mean, you look at these rallies, it's like a bunch of women that no guy wants to sleep with and a bunch of dudes that want to sleep with each other. Kid Rock.
The voice of our generation. Why does he suck so bad? Honestly. This dude literally recently, after all this talk, I just want to throw this out there. After all this talk about snowflakes and like the liberal, blah, blah, blah. Oh, let me give you 2 fun facts. 1, Kid Rock got all pissed off when Mulvaney? Dylan Mulvaney happened to have her face on, like, it wasn't even mass produced. It was literally
it was just a brand deal.
A brand deal for her. got so pissed about it, he took Bud Light out in the back and shot it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how unhinged this man is. And then he recently did a show that he didn't feel like he was getting enough applause, and he fucking bounced.
Mm-hmm.
He literally left the concert, which was actually more like 20 very intoxicated people in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's how sensitive of a flower this man is.
But I think it's amazing because this issue is so they're obsessed with this issue of falling birth rate, right? This is like a huge
creepy.
This has been for years now. They've been really, and they're always it's a very obvious. There's actually the two very sides of answering this question, but their answer is continuously, how do we explain, like they're just so confused by why so many people in general would decide not to be, but specifically focus on women, would choose not to become mothers. Why it makes no sense. They're like, we have it so good. Why wouldn't everyone want to bring children into the world that we've created? And instead of thinking of on one side things like, better prenatal health care, child care,
affordable child care,
the actually taking care of women with their reproductive health care, and everything that goes into raising a child and so on, and not to mention the future of our country with whatever we're going monetarily post late stage capitalism, environmental catastrophe that we're living through on a day-to-day basis, and then adding in this huge rising trend of men that do not want to be, and this is not like it's a new thing, but it's like making a comeback of men that do not want to be baby that don't want to be supportive partners, that don't want to be active in their children's lives, that don't want to actually create a home life where that would make for an equitable partnership in their home, and then being like, I just can't explain. It must be because women are ugly.
Uggos.
That's the falling birth rate issue.
It just came to me just now. It's like, bro, you have been thinking on this for some time. Mm-hmm. I don't believe this is the first time you've had very hateful, derogatory thoughts towards women in general, let alone, liberal women. So, yeah, I'm thinking you already had some negative viewpoints. Mm-hmm. But it's also just like, you're proving the fucking point. Mm-hmm. Literally why people don't want to have children, why the birth rate is low, is because assholes like you feel comfortable just saying how ugly, unattractive women are and saying all liberals are gay. Like, that's why, bro. Like, that attitude, that treatment of other people. Do you sound like a person somebody wants to have kids with? Does that attitude make and inspire confidence as to the direction this country is going in? I think not.
Yeah, you look at because there's the big fear, right, of the fact that so many young men are moving conservative and so many women are moving more liberal. And then you also have this rise of them not wanting to be with each other. And they're like, we can't explain it. I don't get it. Why is there this loneliness epidemic? The part that someone brought up the other day, I've thought about this before, but I haven't made a video about it specifically, that people aren't talking about enough. They're always, and it goes back to the misogyny in our society. If there's a bunch of lonely men not in relationships, that also means there are also just as many women also not in relationships. But what are we worried about? What are we starting conversations about? What are we writing books about? It's how do we help these poor young men,
these boys
that are alone right now, without ever seeking to consider and think about the fact that there's, once again, just as many women not in relationships that are out there that might want relationships, not with those guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's par for the course, though, because they don't take women into account in any of the studies they do. Like, when they do medical studies, it's not until recently that they would even think about what it would do to a woman. They would test it all on men. Like, they wouldn't, even the studies for women would be absurd. Like, when they were testing tampons, why tampons are so weird, because, well, one, they had lead in them. Remember that? Remember the demonic
All little, yeah.
uterus that we talked about that wards off the lead? Well, they also, were testing it with water.
Yep.
Obviously not the consistency. So even when they work with, even when they include women into their studies, like they do it wrong. They don't care enough.
Wait, are you telling me that blood and water, or menstrual blood and water, I should say, are not exactly the same consistency?
I know I've blown your mind right now, but I'll tell you what, they are definitely not. Yeah, it's horrifying. And like the other thing is, I think they try to make it seem like that this is like, oh, it's all of a sudden women just don't want to be around guys and like
Mm,
something's changed. It's like,
hmm.
no, I mean, kind of, but what's really happening is men no longer get to treat women like
Right.
shit.
Hmm.
Like for so long, women put up with men treating them less than human.
Hmm.
Women had to go into these gender roles that were completely oppressive to them in order to function in society and have access to things like money and bank accounts and property. So they had to put up with stuff they wouldn't normally. And now women are like asking questions. Even
Hmm.
questions piss men off now. Like
Hmm.
these type of men, anyways, where it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't go out with the boys just because our kid is sick and you need help? Like, just have the other four kids deal with it. Like, it's this obtuse nature of the way that they look at it, as if like,
Hmm.
must be that women are ugly. And yet
Right.
again, they like the the thing they come to not only proves everyone else's point, but just makes them look like more unattractive, like makes
Hmm.
men look more unattractive. Like it's the same thing as when you say there's a loneliness epidemic, which you would think they would grab onto, and yet men on the internet consistently are like, we don't care about you, we're not
Hmm.
lonely, we're choosing to leave. It's like, one, that makes you look bad. But
Hmm.
two, okay then. So like this birth rate, like if it's that we're women, liberal women are so hideous and ugly, okay,
Hmm.
and then what's the solve for that? There's not one. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Hmm.
you're just being mean. Like you're not even creating, you're not finding a solution. You're just begging for a way to degrade liberal
Hmm.
women. And there's plenty of conservative women. So what's the excuse there?
Right. It's the well, I mean, the honest answer is that they know what is causing it and what they're it's far more nefarious, right? That's why that
Yep.
you see states now pushing to get rid of no fault divorce laws, right? It's they
Horrifying.
absolutely horrified. I just went to I got invited to go see a play at a in Pasadena called A Doll's House Part Two. Have you heard of A Doll's House, the original play
Yes.
by Ibsen? I think it was Ibsen.
Yes.
But but where the mother and wife at the end, she Nora, she leaves, she walks out on her family at the end of it, and that's why it was
Mhm.
such a big. It's from the I
Yeah.
think you know the era it was set in, especially it was such a huge deal, right?
Like, oh my
Um,
God.
and so Doll's House Part Two is kind of 15 years later. She comes back, and she's become a famous author using a pen name. She's made money, but she realizes that her husband never filed the divorce papers. And so it's now everything she's done from sleeping with other men, especially in this era, to making money on her own is now illegal. And she could go to jail for doing this thing. And they actually frame it, they do a really amazing job in the play. I don't want to make the whole thing once again about the play, but it really, I was like, wow, the timing of this being put on right now and me just happened to be getting invited to go seeing it was perfect because it was so well done and it really while it was portrayed very like I said the levels were great it was comedy it was still funny it really was horrifying when you see the reality of what it was like that she literally could not the only choice she had to escape this loveless marriage was to abandon her family like was to run that was the only way and risk basically being destitute for the rest of her life and then when she does find success the only choice she has is to come back and basically beg her husband to please do this for her, give her the divorce because literally cannot leave without her husband's permission. Right. And there are people in my comment. I made a post about the this a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago, and people were in my comments arguing in favor of no fault divorce. That you shouldn't get married then if you can't devote forever. If you can't
Okay,
promise.
well, maybe people shouldn't cosplay as nice guys.
Right.
If you,
As if something can't change ever. Because there even could be someone that convinces you they're a really kind person and then shifts
that's
into
what
this
I'm
horrible
saying.
person.
It's
Yeah.
like so many people get married. That's why
Hmm.
there are annulments. Like, because people were marrying people and then finding out, like, oh shit, you lied to me the entire time and you're not at all who you
Hmm.
say. And then you have the fact that so many women experience this huge shift in their husbands the
Hmm.
second they get married, where something like they all just collectively decide, like, okay, now that we're
Hmm.
married, I actually do get to treat you like shit. And I
Hmm.
do have a lot of expectations that I didn't mention or bring up. And it's the same way, like they say they want
Hmm.
to be fathers, and you find out they just want the title of dad. But they
Hmm.
don't want to help you, and they don't want to raise the child, and they don't want to make any decisions. Like they
Hmm.
want all of that to be on you. And it's like, it's so scary because unless you know the right questions to ask, and that's assuming they
Hmm.
don't lie to you, there's
Hmm.
so many men that may seem great, and then you get into the nitty gritty of the marriage and they're like, yeah, when I said I wanted to be a dad, I wanted to literally just make a kid happen.
Hmm.
And now that you got to carry it, you got to raise it, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want my life to change at all,
Hmm.
actually, and I'm going to make you miserable if you make me feel any change, any pressure, any stress from the child.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I think if you would have said that up front, she would not have been with you. And
Hmm.
now we have people who like no fault divorce. Like what that means is you can get out of a marriage with like out having to prove you have
Hmm.
reasonable. It is reasonable for you to get out
Hmm.
of marriage. Now think about the court system. Do we feel like in cases of women being victims to men, they
Hmm.
handle that well? How many women get justice for crimes against them? I mean, there are people who want to take back marital rape, like they want to
Hmm.
remove that.
Hmm.
It's like
And
there's,
it's all of these things are connected, but
yeah,
even down to repealing Roe v. Wade, right? The solution is not to, condition and treat young men and teach them emotional intelligence and how to be caring and how to be more active partners and how to have a more equitable household. No, the solution is for women to lower their standards, to trap them into marriages, right? And to force them to acquiesce to a time that only benefited men and it really benefited nobody. I refuse to believe that men were happy in that era, right? In those sort of relationships, because I mean, it's a different type. It's like this weird. I mean, maybe I'm just. I guess people are. There's a lot of evil people. I don't know. I could never be happy in that. I'm just maybe I'm
I think
projecting.
some of them, no, I think a lot of them did enjoy that. I mean, again, you have people who, I mean, people have done horrible shit. It was an acceptable
Hmm.
way of being horrible. And
Right.
like, I think good things about people, but let's look at the current state of affairs where people
Right.
are rejoicing at deporting a 2-year-old with cancer.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's
Yeah.
like I think people do enjoy power. I think
Hmm.
power corrupts, and especially back in the day, just being a white man, you had
Hmm.
immense power. Like just being born, you had immense
Hmm.
power, particularly if you had any wealth, but you
Hmm.
definitely had more power than most, and I think people do get drunk on power and do enjoy because I mean, they're fighting so hard to get back to it now.
Hmm. Hmm. But it does. It feels more like a drug than happiness. Is I guess what I'm playing.
Sure.
It's more so
Well, it's not
an
real, yeah.
it's this fleeting feeling, and that's why they keep trying to get more power. They keep trying to do it in other ways. They keep trying to find other areas of their life where they can also gain that power and that feeling of that high. And so I guess what I mean by when I say I refuse to believe they're happy is that I know what an equitable relationship can feel like. I know that you know what an equitable relationship can feel like when you are married to someone who you actually like, right? Where you can spend time with the person and actually enjoy that time of emotional intimacy and of friendship and of laughter. That is happiness, right? And that's what I mean by that. But you're that's not a counter to you. It's more so a yes and to what you're saying.
I hear what you're saying though, because at the end of the day, people who I truly believe this, people who are hateful and
Hmm.
oppressive and harm people in order to
Hmm.
regulate themselves or enjoy whatever it is, they are deeply disturbed individuals, and I
Hmm.
don't think they are actually happy because they're also completely out of control. And I think that's something we're really seeing with this man. Like even Kid Rock, for example, when he's literally taking a shotgun to Bud Light cans and storming off stages because he's not being cheered for enough. It's like they actually have horrible emotional regulation. They actually, what we consider, or I guess they consider snowflake behaviors, they actually have horrifically. But what has happened is they have been in the power position of a system that is set up to force other people to regulate for them, to help, to regulate their emotions, to regulate their environment. That was the big one that I think goes not talked about enough, is that housewives and women and their mothers even would set up an environment where there would be as little stress as possible so they don't freak out. It's the don't wake daddy. I say it all the time. But that was how these men were living. That's how a lot of these men grew up, was in homes where everything was just right so that daddy didn't stress out, and he would have outbursts when things didn't go just his way. And this was blamed on women, or this was blamed on stress or his work or whatever else. But at the end of the day, what we're seeing is these men are completely dysregulated. Like they don't know how to deal with stress. They don't know how to deal with conflict. They don't know how to deal when they don't have absolute power. They are spiraling because they've lost that, because at the end of the day, they can't control themselves. And that's the scary thing to me, is like, we're seeing this aggression and this hate and this degrading, and it's coming from the place of they are feeling these negative feelings that are theirs, not anybody else. This is you. And they do not regulate, and they do not have introspection. And so they're just throwing them out, when if they could just literally have some emotional intelligence, go to therapy, work it out within themselves, it would be a different story.
And they're shutting themselves into these bubbles too, where they're only hearing other men repeating these red pill kind of bubbles of saying these exact same things, where women don't actually care about you. They don't actually like you. If she shows interest in you, she's lying to manipulate you. And they repeat these things because they've never actually, once again, been in a relationship. Because when you are embodying this old school conservative version of masculinity, this caricature of masculinity that's out there, you're not going to find someone that likes you as a person and that you can get along with, because they don't know you as a person, right? You're never actually letting them meet you, because you're also terrified. Your focus is so much on manipulating and creating a costume of a person that you think women like, that you never end up being in a relationship with someone who can appreciate the aspects of you that you've hidden away and may not even know about yourself anymore, because of how much you are focusing on this other thing.
I actually just had a Kid Rock moment where I just realized something. But I just bang bang bang. No, I really did. Like just now, I was like, oh my God, you have young boys who are emotionally not mature because of their age, developmentally not mature, and absolutely in egocentrism, because that's the age you are, and that is a that's a psychology term. It's been proven. It's the state that, I don't know when it happens in children, but also in teens, where they literally see themselves as the center of the universe.
Center of the universe.
That's why they say things like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone. No one's ever felt this bad. And they do think that, because that's where their brain, the development of their brain is at. So we have kids who are thinking that way, getting advice from men who are incredibly emotionally immature because they don't know how to regulate themselves, and they grew up having everybody else have to regulate around them. And now that women are saying, hell no, I'm not your therapist, they're furious. And of course it makes sense to a young boy with egocentrism, who is in the midst of that adolescence egocentrism, because he's getting the same advice. They're from different places, but they both are absolutely unevolved. They both are absolutely centering themselves with a refusal to have any introspection. And then you see an adult saying the same things that you feel, and instead of getting out of that phase, you just stick in it. And so I I just realized, like, oh my God, it's like the emotional maturity of a teenage boy, adult man
Mm-hmm.
giving advice. And of course, they're going to take that as more legitimate because it's an adult telling them. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like these men really, like, I genuinely mean that when they are raised with their mothers who take care of everything for them, make their doctor's calls, make sure
Mm-hmm.
their life is good, do their laundry. Then they jump to wives sometimes because Lord knows a lot of these men are divorced
Mm-hmm.
or whatever else. They always have women who are facilitating stress, less stress in their lives. And then all of a sudden, they're in a position where they're feeling the stress and they don't have any women to blame it on or any women to assist them.
Mm-hmm. And they aren't developing those skills when they're younger, whereas women do, because women, even as young girls, are taught to be the caretakers of the boys in their classroom. The boys are acting out. Okay, well, this is what you need to do to appease the boys in your home. This is what you need to do to don't wake daddy, right? That whole aspect of it, they are taught versus the young men are socialized once again to be the kings, to be the ones that you appease, that you don't get too upset because oh, that's how you know how boys are when it comes to these sort of things.
The other thing that I don't think gets acknowledged enough is women also, I mean, statistically,
Hmm.
deal with trauma at a young age.
Hmm.
So they deal with horrific things that
Hmm.
they got to talk, like sometimes they don't and they just internalize it, but they have to get through those. They get through it
Hmm.
some way or another. So they are developing skills. Also, when your safety is at risk as a young lady or a young
Hmm.
girl, you are more aware of people's emotions. Like you are expected, not only just in the sense of, I know you were talking about it, like
Hmm.
you're the caregiver, you're the nurturer, whatever, but it's also like you got to know who's a threat to you.
Hmm.
And usually you learn by being thrown in the fire. Like I had traumatic incidents very early. So by the time I was, I don't know, college,
Hmm.
I had done a lot of work, like emotionally,
Right.
because I had to figure out what had happened to me and how to make it not happen again.
Hmm.
And I think that's part of the reason that women do have more like social emotional skills
Hmm.
is because they've had to learn them to
Hmm.
survive. How
Hmm.
do you get through all that trauma? And of course, there are boys, every gender suffers trauma. I
Right.
have no doubts. And I'm not saying they don't, but I am saying statistically, girls face it at a
Hmm.
repeatedly and starting at a young age.
Well, it's a different type of trauma too. I
Yeah.
think young boys are being like conditionally traumatized to, and you're seeing it now as they get older, and how it comes out in anger, and how it comes out in not having any sort of person that they can actually like I said have emotional intimacy with outside of a relationship, right? And so their trauma is coming out from a shove it down, boys don't cry. That is definitely trauma, right? But what we're seeing, it's a type of trauma that's inflicted on them that ends up harming everyone else around them as they get older, but it's untreated versus it's a different way that it comes out.
Yeah, I think it is such a clear sign of privilege and like
Hmm.
the patriarchy as a whole that in my experience, and I think we would find this if through studies and statistics, that like if women enacted the violence, the sexual violence that they
Hmm.
experience, like if every woman who's had that happen then enacted that outwardly,
Hmm.
this world would be a literal, it would be a nightmare. Like it would
Hmm.
just be every, like the streets would be, it'd be insane, right? Because you think about almost every woman I know has experienced that, right?
Hmm.
And so and yet when we look at men, it is very often that
Hmm.
men have trauma and then enact trauma
Hmm.
on women specifically.
Hmm.
Now, sometimes it's as simple as like their mother. Like the guy that was horrible to me, the most abusive person, well, he's a horrifying individual.
Hmm.
But his deal was like his mom and dad didn't get along and he had a bad relationship with his mom.
Hmm.
And that was kind of his excuse for what he did to me, which I'm
Hmm.
like, those are not the same. Like, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's I think it showcases like how much we think women are there for men to use, that they're a
Hmm.
tool, that they're a vessel to express that pain on, because it's not even, right? We're not seeing women taking out the violence on men despite having it happen, that men who have had bad experiences are taking it out on women and taking an unrelated experience and then turning that into a much more violent. Like, you have men who get rejected and then will kill women. And that's insane. But I think it showcases that just how much men believe, well, I've had this painful thing, women are the person that I get to harm.
Because I think it also shows the danger that comes along with the very widespread talking point of women lie about what they actually want, right? That you hear. Did you see that one? There was a picture of a guy that got like really jacked online, like super, like he lost weight, and like he was already fit before. But he was like dad bod before, like fit dad bod. And they asked, based on like men, which do you prefer, women, which do you
Yes, I
prefer?
did see that.
And then someone reposted it and said why, and it was women preferred the previous, the more fit,
Which
like
he was
he was
still fit.
He was still fit, but it was he had more meat on him.
Natural.
He looked more naturally fit. And men like overwhelmingly preferred the more like,
Bodybuilder
yeah, bodybuilder type.
cut.
And then someone screenshots it and said, "Why are women lying about this?"
Okay, for the millionth time, maybe there's some women who like bodybuilder look. Maybe.
And there was a percentage
not me.
that did like the.
Well, it's definitely not me. It's definitely not me. Although I have eyes, so I can pick which I think is more appealing.
Right.
But more often than not, that shit is men. Like that.
It's
cut,
all, with all of these
bulky,
things.
and it's like, that's you guys. Like, I don't know any, or I have never met a woman who wanted like crazy shredded bodybuilder style. Like I more often than not, in my own personal experience, women liked less like that because it made them feel fun. Like, they were like, I feel self-conscious around that, which is a debate for a different or a problem for a different time. But a lot of times these ideals are from men to other men to impress other men. And then when women just say, oh, we don't like that, they're like, liar,
You fucking liar,
bang to bang, boogie.
And they get angry because they've invested so much time. And like, think of it from a completely different thing. Like, if you were told, in order to start a business, you need to do these three things, and then you spend 10 years working on those three things, and your business fails, and everyone tells you, oh, it's because you didn't do the things you're supposed to do to have a successful business, you'd be furious, right? But instead of being furious at the people that were lying to you and telling you the bad advice from the get-go, you get furious. Well, like, customers don't know what they want. They don't know the good food that I was making for them. They're wrong. And then you could double down on it. You keep failing. And that's it. That's exactly where it's this anger that, instead of placing it toward the Andrew Tates of the world, toward these men peddling this bad advice, they get angry at women. Right. And they double it down like, well, what's wrong with women today? Right. Why are you being so mean to me as a man? I did the work. I put the tokens in to the nice guy machine. Right. Where's my prize?
It's the perfect scapegoat, because you can believe exactly what you believed when it started. You don't have to change a single thing. And now you can be angry and it's justified, versus if you accept the feedback, you have to reflect. You might have to change your lifestyle. You may have to accept, like, oh my God, all these people that I really enjoyed and like that I have listened to for years were lying to me. And they're like, they don't want to do that. It's much easier to just blame women.
And this is where the issue is, you're seeing it all over the thread. These honestly lies, these problematic tropes that are being taught to young men that end up coming out and harming women as they get as these boys grow into men, and they're coming even from quote unquote well-meaning people, right? And this is where people get angry at me when I critique Scott Galloway, right?
Can I say something very quickly?
Yeah.
You said like boys to men, but you said it very like seriously. The second you said boys to men, I was like, oh no, it's the
back to our boy band. Back full circle to our conversation.
We're very in sync right now. Sorry, I could just tell I was smiling because I was thinking about boys to men. And okay, go back. Sorry. Okay, I got it out.
So there's a account I follow is this guy named Masculine. He actually does some great stuff, and he's like PhD research based on unpacking kind of what is happening to young men
Nice.
right now. It's actually really he's I think he's, from what I've seen, he's fantastic. But he responded to Scott Galloway recently on these like three tropes that Scott mentioned. This is what healthy boys, I think, if I were, because Scott's trying to present himself as like a counter to Andrew Tate, but he's really just pushing down like he's pushing down more palatable toxic traits, right?
Yeah.
But he's pushing the same
Andrew Tate
concepts.
light.
Right. And so, so it upsets me that he's taken his marketing acumen and become the voice, and it's something that he did not do the work to understand what he was saying.
Literally
But
not
like,
his
mhm.
expertise.
But like three of the things he said that what he encourages young men to do would be, once again, to gain money, figure out ways to make money, figure out ways to get like become powerful and strong so that you can be like the scariest guy in a room. And the other one was socialize more. That was the third one. Great. Form
That
relationships.
one's
That's
right. That's
beautiful.
right.
But it's like he's still pushing the trope that the only way to be a man is to be the most, and it's not saying you can't be fit, right? But what you need is to be expressing what any man in this talking to young boys, because the fact is these young guys are only often going to listen to other men in the scene, need to be talking about a balance between what does it mean to be
Yeah.
strong, right? It means to be emotionally healthy as well. It means to understand your feelings. It means to be a protector. You can't just be a physical protector. You also have to understand your emotions, understand how you do those sort of things. These tropes that we've told young boys are only women, for women that are only feminine, right, are part of be understanding how to find a healthy balance as a human being, as a person on this earth. And we need to make sure that we are showing them that there's more ways to be strong than simply hitting the gym and getting jacked, right?
I get jacked. I also feel like we don't address enough like the toxicity
Hmm.
that comes along with like gym culture, but like any of these coaches that are that are motivational coaches, gym bro kind of whatever. I don't know what
Hmm.
category that is. They're probably private trainers. I don't know. I don't know what they are. But I've seen some of these videos, right? Because I'm critiquing videos in that category, so sometimes they'll come
Hmm.
across my feed. They are some of the like most insulting,
Hmm.
harsh, like critical videos. Like, if you don't get in the gym every day, you're fucking weak. You're
Hmm.
disgusting. Like, just like you need to value your body. Get in the gym. What's your excuse? You're a loser. You're a
Hmm.
liar. And I'm like, holy shit! I thought we were motivating people.
Hmm.
Women, there's a toxicity, but it's not like that. It's like there's so many of these men that are just
Hmm.
screaming at other men or boys probably that
Hmm.
like they're repulsive almost and that they have to absolutely deprive themselves. Like they'll put them on diets and I'm like, you're probably not getting enough sugar. Your blood sugar is
Hmm.
probably wrecked right now. Like, are you
Hmm.
getting enough sleep? Probably not, because they're like, get up at 5:40, whatever it is. And like these crash diets and like don't have no food, do like no carbs. Like, I can't imagine that anybody doing that unless they're already pretty of sound mind and like have done the work to be a stable person. Like, you
Hmm.
put most people under that type of pressure cooker,
Hmm.
like they're not going to be in a good place mentally. And
Hmm.
like it just like it almost teaches that like the more, which is a common theme with these men in the manosphere, like the more you suffer, the more
Hmm.
manly you are. And I think it's such a scary message. And
Hmm.
it puts men like I don't it I feel like it puts them in a very scary place physically, like even if they're ripped, like
Hmm.
a lot of them take steroids or they're putting God knows what in their bodies.
Hmm.
Like even some like there's some pre-workout that can jack you up. Like there's science of like different things that especially if you have any mental health issues, like
Hmm.
you can jack yourself up. Like
Hmm.
it's not good. And their hormones, like they're just putting themselves, I feel like, in a very physically bad place,
Hmm.
even if it may look good.
Hmm.
And it makes me sad. Like you watch those videos and I'm like, guys are
Hmm.
watching this and feeling empowered. Like this, it's the same thing as those boot camps we talked about, like
Right.
those where they just degrade them. And I mean, they talk to them like they're garbage.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's motivational to you. It's like, yeah, like I can imagine if you absorb that consistently, what a headspace you would be in. It wouldn't be good because we know very few men get to that.
Hmm.
The people watching that aren't the ones, you know what I mean? Like they're
Mm.
not getting to that level of
Right. Well,
physique.
because the reality of the world is you don't that takes a lot of time, right?
Yes, and
And
money.
money to be able to afford. There's all sorts of things that go into to being able to achieve that, right? And they don't want to talk about that though. They don't want to admit that it's either time and money, or you are once again like just basically pushing all of the household labor onto your partner, right? To in order to have time
Yes.
to be able to do that. Well, she takes care of that. She does all the other things. So now I can spend 2 or 3 hours a night at the gym working out because that's my job. Her job is to do. I've heard guys have literally pushed this. Exactly. I know you're not. You've seen this before. Where it's the no, no. Her job is to do everything in the home, and my job is to keep my body healthy for her.
For her, no. Who's that?
Yeah.
That's not for
Hmm.
her.
And it's not just health. Healthy is not what you're aiming for
No,
either.
it's but
Yeah.
they're not aiming one, they're not aiming for healthy. They're aiming for
Hmm.
this ridiculous physique that is almost unattainable. But
Right.
it's also this idea of like it's so rare that I
Hmm.
hear these men talking in ways that make me believe they are self-motivated.
Hmm.
Usually it's like I'm doing this to prove how manly I am. I'm doing to show how accountable and disciplined, which like
Hmm.
you would think would then turn into like positive for themselves, but it never feels like that. It feels like
Hmm.
they're chasing this unattainable goal that they always have to do more and more. But
Hmm.
it's like you if you want to get your body in shape, like great. That's gotta
Hmm.
be for
No, that's
you
yeah.
though.
Hmm.
Like because then of course you fucking crash out if you
Hmm.
dedicate your life to working out with this crazy idea that it's gonna get you success somehow or it's gonna get you a girl.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, and then you're like, that's not true. Of course you crash out over it. But that's because it
Hmm.
was never like it's got to be about you. Because
Hmm.
then guess what? If you love yourself and you choose to work out and you get that physique that you work so hard for and some girls like, I don't like that. You would be like, "Cool, I don't care."
Hmm.
Great. That's
Right.
where you want to be, but
Hmm.
you're clearly not self-motivated if girls saying that's not what I'm interested in causes you to crash out
Hmm.
because that's not who you are. That's if that's your whole identity, then that's a problem. This
Hmm.
should be something you're doing for yourself for the betterment of yourself. But that's not what we're seeing from these guys. And like
Hmm.
it's really sad because like it's almost like they have the patriarchy in their mind as this ever-present disgusting mean nasty coach. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like in their
Hmm.
ear like you're disgusting, you're not worthy, you need to be more, you need to be better, you need to work harder, you're not big enough because you see them comparing themselves constantly.
Hmm.
And it's like Jesus Christ. I mean, women have all genders have it like
Right. Right.
but I if you're femme presenting, of course people are critiquing your body and
Hmm.
skinny talk, diet culture,
Wait,
this.
women have that happen?
But it's like it's across
Yeah.
it's across the board,
Right.
but that's not something I personally deal with. So
Hmm.
when I do see it, I'm like, holy shit, like you guys are getting like bullied and
Hmm.
degraded by men.
It's part of that culture. It's part of that red pill kind
Horrible.
of alpha male kind of thing is like, and it's because like it's showing how tough you are by being able to take that, right? By
Yes,
showing, hmm.
yes. And it's like I get accused of being a man hater, obviously, here we
Hmm.
are. But like I would never talk to a man like I mean, I like act
Hmm.
and but like
Hmm.
I would never online in person anytime be degrade like it is foul. And
Hmm.
yet these are the men that they say are their biggest like idols. Like these are the men
Hmm.
that they say are their motivators. I'm
Hmm.
like, you want to hate on women for being quote unquote man hating, but like look at what men say to other
Hmm.
men. It
Hmm.
is scary and it is sad. And like again, I it makes perfect sense to me that men are in a bad headspace when that's
Hmm.
what they're listening to all day. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I you couldn't pay me to listen to that. It's abusive. It's absolutely abusive.
And that's why the thing is I have a lot of conversation in my DMs with guys that will get angry at me. My number one response now, it's actually been really enlightening is whenever they'll say something really horrific, and instead of responding, my go-to response, I've sent it probably 300 times now, is let's talk about it. What do you have an issue with what I said about what I said? And then they'll usually rant again. I'm like, no, like genuinely, let's talk. And they don't know how to deal with once again, me not aggressive, being aggressive. They wanted that because they wanted to conquer me. They wanted to upset me. And then when I'm like, all right, well, let's figure this out. Where's this coming from? What did I say that you have an issue with? And there's been I don't post them because I actually do think there's good being done in the conversations where, like one guy the other day, he was like, look, man, I don't have anything against you personally. I'm sorry if I came off that way. And he like I don't remember exactly, but the first thing he said was like the most expletive laden, insulting thing, and
Yeah.
and then but then at the end of it comes down to like, I didn't mean to insult you. Like I don't have a real issue with you. It's just I don't think that women have it as hard as you think they do. And I was like, let's talk about that. And I keep on pushing him to do it. And it is fascinating how quickly though you can get I've seen it happen over and over again. Well, they will admit they're like, well, what do you? But they'll actually be curious about what I have to say. And so when they finally do start believing that what I'm offering, what I'm critiquing, is because I think it benefits everyone. I genuinely do believe men are happier and women are happier when they stop buying into this bullshit. And once I get them into that with the honesty, once they realize I'm being honest about it, it's amazing how much more they are willing to listen to it. But it's hard to get past that initial aggravation because they're so used to other men in their life just being aggressive toward them as well.
It's to use their own quotes, it's really like feelings over facts when that
Hmm.
happens, because that happens to me a lot too. I used to, if I think there's hope for somebody, I might get into it with them just to
Hmm.
see. And I've gotten into it with people just as my own like case study of like,
Hmm.
what are these men thinking? Because I do care. I genuinely
Hmm.
want to understand these things. Um, but sometimes as a woman online, like people can get vile, so I
Yeah,
have to be careful how I
it's a different
engage.
experience. Yeah, yeah.
But I have had many conversations, some of which they do apologize at the end because they
Hmm.
almost don't see me as a person until I respond.
Hmm.
But it's also like it's feelings over facts in the sense of they feel bad when you say that, and then they just fire off all this shit at you. And like
Hmm.
one thing that works for me, if there's anybody listening who ever has to do this, is and this was given to me by I think I've said this before, by Faye, who's a musical artist, but someone I
Hmm.
interviewed. She said that what she does is she'll go, what's the time code of when I said
Hmm.
that? Like
Hmm.
you hate men. Okay, Nate, give me the time code where I
Right,
say I hate men, and then they
right.
kind of scramble a little bit, or like, where did I say that? Like,
Hmm.
at what point have I said these things? And that like literally they start to spiral
Hmm.
because it's not actually what you said.
No.
It's the feeling they took away from it, and they want to accuse you of really horrible things because then it justifies the feelings that they have,
Hmm.
because they can't deal with the fact, this is my opinion,
Hmm.
they can't deal with the fact that they have such a strong reaction to what you're saying. They
Hmm.
can't deal with the fact that I've said consent is important.
Hmm.
They can't, the dissonance for them is too strong for them to think I'm mad because she wants there to be consent, right?
Hmm.
So then they'll push it to, oh, so you're saying every man is a predator. That's what you're saying, right?
Hmm.
Because then they've thought of something bad enough to justify how bad it made them feel. That
Hmm.
doesn't make them feel, have to reflect or make them think ill of themselves. And then, but it's like the second you get try to find the fact in there,
Hmm.
they've got nothing. They're like, well, yeah, maybe you didn't say that, but I can tell you think that. And you're like, no,
Hmm.
that's you're projecting. You're
Hmm.
saying, like, I say a lot of things that I stand by what I say, but I will not be accountable for something I didn't say. And that's
Hmm.
what they want a lot. And so it's like, no, this is you actually. This is
Hmm.
you. You had a feeling because of something I said. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine, but you can't say I said something that I didn't.
And it's the need for them. They're like, you need to specify that you weren't talking about me. I need you to tell me in those words that you don't think I'm that person. And I'm like, I don't know. I've said this to somebody before. I was
I
like, the
think more.
reaction you're having makes me definitely think you're one of the people I'm talking about. Like, I
Oh,
don't normally a guy that didn't do these things would not be so aggressive, right?
that's 100%. Like I always say, I hate this saying, but it's so accurate. A hit dog will holler.
Hmm.
That is exactly what it is. Like
Right.
the men who don't do these behaviors don't come at me.
This is just a just another slant I think on this issue about not when you don't see if you know you're not that, then you won't be offended by it.
Right.
Do you know Abby Eckel?
Yeah, we're mutuals. I don't want to say friends, that doesn't feel accurate, but we're mutuals. We chat.
I am like friends with her. Like I've met her in person now enough times that like where did she no but
Chesko, so much cooler than me. I get it.
but my point in saying that though is that she made a video about things that there's that trend about things I'm not like buying anymore online or things I don't
Yes.
yeah and it was one that said male feminist content creators. And I was like
Oh
and
man.
I had multiple followers send it to me like, how do you feel about this?
Are you triggered?
What do you think about this? And I was
Yeah.
like, she's right.
She's right.
She's completely spot on. There's so many fucking grifters. We've talked about this. How many times have you seen these that comes out where this guy's the shitty person, or where someone like the maybe I shouldn't say that online. I forget oh fuck, I don't care. The Robbie Harveys of the world that are literally just like like using the stories of other women to get views.
Yeah, self-proclaimed narcissist who now
Mhm.
says he's not one, which actually isn't a thing,
Right.
who uses videos of women who are having trauma and makes money off said trauma almost predominantly.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
the other side of it. So first off, I didn't see that, and I wasn't like, Abby, why didn't you tell me?
You call
Were
her.
you lying to me? I texted
Was that
like,
about
what
me?
was that about? I jokingly did message her. I was like, I've had people said this to me. And I thought it was hilarious. Anyways, the point is, even if she was talking about me, that's fine, right? Like because of the fact that if I was doing the work I was doing solely because I need the praise, because I need that, then the work, then once again, I am the
You
person
are
that
the
she's
person
talking
she's talking
about.
about.
That's the whole point of that. And so the you need to be able to, if you're going to be in a space, we've talked about this before, if you're in an anti-racism space, if you're in an anti-transphobia space, if you're in an anti-whatever space where you are combating things, societal ills, right? If you're only doing it because you like the attaboys, right? Because you like the praise, because you like people like giving you that positive affirmations about who you are as a person, then you're not actually really doing it right for the right reasons.
And also, if you, because this is happening, we've talked about this a little bit, I think
Mm,
maybe last week, but uh, I mean, it's always rampant, but something's in the air lately with,
hmm
even in like with Black creators, like white women. My Jordan Tan is a friendly mutual friend person who just posted a video like I just saw it today of like how white women come at her, like
hmm
they love her feminist content. This is also happening to Jamila, obviously.
hmm
White woman whisperer, that happens to her all the time.
hmm
Where it's like they're all cool and good when it's talking bad about men, but the second that white
hmm
women are talked about, they're like, wait a second. Or like,
hmm
or activists, like,
hmm
because everyone thinks they're a good one, you know what I mean? And
right.
it's not just like not liking the take. Like, there's plenty of takes you're not gonna like.
Of course, you don't have to agree with every single
Right.
thing. Yeah.
And a lot of it is reflection. Like, if something hits me a certain way, sometimes I do need to reflect on that and see, well, why does it bother me?
hmm
Uh, it's a good sign that you need to maybe think about it. But it's also not liking a take
hmm
and then somehow leaping
hmm
to getting pissed about that take, getting
hmm
in that creator's comment section, who is just expressing their opinion or sometimes fact,
hmm
uh getting in their comment section and demanding they respond to you because they're wrong about you. You're
hmm
not one of those, or what, you're tone checking them, you're critiquing them. That is such that is coming from such a place of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's important. It'd be the same thing if you went off on Abby or like
Mm-hmm.
called Abby, you're like, was this about
Were
me?
can you just confirm to me?
Will you put an asterisk and
Would you
then
make,
say not
you know what you could
Chesko?
do? Yeah, would you like edit the caption and just say, and make a, make a follow up and
Mhm.
then, and tell the guys that you are okay with. Can you make sure
Make a
to like
list.
make a list for people
Yeah.
just for not for me, of course,
Wink.
but
Yeah.
if you wanted to include me on there,
That'd be
just so people
fine.
know it's okay that they can follow me.
And also don't do that
Okay.
again.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's privilege to think you get to dictate what people say. It's
Hmm.
privilege to think that you are the highest authority, especially on someone else's experience. That's where it's really gnarly and nasty.
Hmm.
If you think you know more about their own opinion, it's like patronizing, but
Hmm.
I can't think of the word right now. I'll probably think of it as I'm editing, but it's basically when you feel like you are the parent in the situation and
Hmm.
you talk to someone as if you're the parent, meaning you have authority.
Hmm.
You're right. And we see this a lot in these spaces that one group will give off that energy
Hmm.
towards a group that they have oppressed.
Hmm.
And it comes off a lot when there's conflict or like again, I don't like something you said. It's like, okay, you can have that, but
Hmm.
they're justified in what they think. And if you feel you have the right to then critique that and call that wrong and think you get to fight it out with them,
Hmm.
you should think about that. And I think that's a big thing too, is there is some privilege there if you think that's your right to do.
Hmm.
And if you're really an ally, then you got to sit with these things
Hmm.
rather than immediately attack,
Hmm.
because that's what we see a lot, like where people, like to your point, just think like, well, is that about me? Well, what are you saying about it?
Hmm.
It's like you're centering yourself in the conversation that's not from you,
Hmm.
hopefully not about you.
The centering is the key too, right?
Yeah, you're
It's like
making it
it.
about you. And if you're making
Hmm.
it about you, then it is about you, right?
Hmm.
If you're the person saying, oh, this issue that you're discussing, you're saying that there's some bad allies out there who are making it about themselves. I
Hmm.
feel like you're talking about me. Now talk to
Hmm.
me and argue with me. It's like, yeah, you're
Hmm.
putting yourself at the center. You're making
Hmm.
it about you. Absolutely, then it's about you. That behavior makes it about you.
It's the inability, because also I am part of the problem, this is
Yeah,
going to sound
sure,
weird,
sure.
but I am still part of the patriarchy. Like I still have benefits that go into it. The fact that my voice is elevated in certain, what depending on what I talk about, higher than women saying the exact same thing is part of the problem, right? That's not, that critique is still valid. It
Yeah,
doesn't mean I
sure.
should stop speaking out on those things and should not stop doing this. But I think there are also ways you talk about things that also become problematic. Like how are you going about fighting this system? How are you, and is it once again by centering yourself in a conversation that you are not affected by? Like it's two men debating about abortion online. Like you brought this up, I think last week, the whole thing where they can get angry or they can get heated and they can be and then walk away and it didn't affect them,
Go have
right?
lunch together,
Go have lunch
literally.
together and be friends afterwards because they didn't
Yeah.
actually have, right. And there's certain thing, there's aspects of that, it gets under my skin. It really does bug me when I see certain aspects of things go on. Two white people arguing about racism. I think there can be benefits that go on that come from that conversation, and I think there are going to be white people, sadly, that will only listen when another white person says that something about those sort of things, which is emblematic. So, but there's, even if you are part of the solution, you are still part of the problem, and that's okay. You have to accept that as someone with it that is trying to make, trying to hopefully do more good than bad. That's going to, and you have to accept those critiques and you have to live with those critiques and you have to listen to those critiques
Yes.
without, once again, needing to be excused. Because the second you start seeking an excuse from those, an exemption from those critiques, then you do end up affirming the same systems that you are theoretically opposed to.
Yeah, because you're using the tools of that system.
Hmm.
Like if you're a man then trying to shut down a woman for
Hmm.
speaking because you don't
Hmm.
like what she said and you feel like you get to dictate what she said. If you're a white person and you do that to a person of color, if you're
Hmm.
a straight person and you do that to a gay person, when they're speaking on their own experiences,
Hmm.
like you got to put the tools down. You can't pick them up when you feel like it. You can't pick them up when your feelings are hurt. Then you're not really doing the work, and no one is above criticism. And that is the reality. And I think we've seen this a lot. There's been a lot of debate about it, but like the reality of, in my opinion, being more left leaning is there will always be discussion and critique. And you are never above critique, and you should always be growing. I think a lot, what we see a lot on the right, and they admit it themselves, they're very unified because there's less critique. You know, they're not constantly, there's no infighting, but I think part of it is, you know, you want to hold yourself to a standard. You do want to do the right thing. And part of growth and maintaining, like, you're never done. The work is never done. You have to keep trying and keep becoming a better person, keep unpacking all these things. And so, yeah, you're gonna get critique. Everybody does. And it's how you handle it that shows how far you've come. I promise you, if someone critiques you from a group that your group is oppressing, and you automatically pick up those tools of said oppression and want to shut them up and think you get to dictate how they do things, you're not as far as you thought you were.
Or this, and the second they start feeling the need to tone police themselves out of fear of offending you, out of fear of triggering you, or a fear of putting you somewhere you don't want to be, then once again, you're doing the thing. You're even more worthy of critique.
I think what has been helpful, I've told people this, I feel like it's helpful. Imagine what you're doing. Unless you're a cis, white, rich guy, because class is in play, right? Class is always in play. You can put yourself in the position of having some form of oppression above you. So it's like, if you're having an interaction and you don't like you're, oh, well, I don't like that I've been critiqued. Like, if you're like a white woman, for example, think about if a man did that to you. How would that feel to you? If you were talking about what you will go through as a woman, and a guy started tone checking you and saying you weren't right, or they don't like the way you said that, they're a good one, I guarantee you would not be like, that's fine. You would have thoughts. And you can do it all the way, like, up and down the line. If you put yourself in a position, like, just think about it from that point. I would hope you could just see it as it is, because you have empathy. But if you're having a hard time with it, like, just press it up into, flip the role where you're in the more oppressed group versus whoever your oppressor is. And sometimes that'll open people's eyes, because most of the time when I flip it and I'm like, okay, well, what if a man did that to you? People are like, oh yeah, I would hate that. It's like, right. So you get it. You do understand it. You just have to, change, like, put it in your shoes, you know? Because I guarantee you would get it. It's not that you don't understand it. You're just not, you're forgetting the power dynamic here. You're forgetting the oppressive dynamic that goes on. And I think it's important. Everybody gets butthurt sometimes. I mean, I'm sure you and I have had moments where we're like, oh, that hurt my feelings. Like, but just take a second, take a breath, check the dynamic, see where you're at. And, like, you cannot use the tools of your oppressive group if you're actively trying to undo said oppression.
Perfect. If anybody's done theater, take the note. Right? You know, that's always the most.
Yes, it is take the note.
Where you debate the note you were just take the note.
Take the note, move on.
Note, reflect on it. And sometimes, and more often than not, there's value there, even if you can't see it right from the start.
Or even if it's, oh, I'm coming off different than I intended. Valid. Take the note.
Right. It's still a good note if you take it for what it is. Yeah.
Cool motive, still murder. Oh, Lord.
And on that note, Kid Rock would not take the note.
He does not take the note, but he would take the shotgun to the Bud Light.
To the Bud Light. Reagan, where can people find us online?
You can find us on our YouTube. We will have this whole episode with our faces, which commenters say is fun. The expressions are fun. We also have our Patreon where we do the pre-show. We would love to have you on there. You literally get an extra episode every week. It is supposed to be 30 minutes. It is never 30 minutes.
I don't think we've ever had one. I think maybe one that was, and we apologize. It was like 40 minutes. We're like, I'm so sorry for such a short.
I know. We're so sorry about that. But yeah, so please check that out. And it also is how we keep this podcast going.
And if you like the show, be sure to give us a good review online. We haven't talked about that in a while. We got one really mean one recently.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now. Let's not bring it up on the show. But I think sometimes people that don't like us find us online and purposely write stuff to be mean. There was two that were very conflicting. One said they don't like that we've gotten more professional and don't cut each other off as much anymore. And then the mean one was like, you guys cut each other off way too much. So apparently we're doing both.
What do we do? Take which note?
That's what it gets confusing with the notes. But if you do like the show and you've been around, please feel free to drop us a 5-star review and a comment on there, and
tell your friends.
Helps more people discover us.
Yeah, and also we have our TikTok. So our TikToks are personals, the F the Nice Guy TikTok and the Speech Prof TikTok, but we do have an Instagram that is for the show. So make sure to check that out. Check out our Facebook. And other than that, we will see you all next week.
I'm Chesko Bounce Back, and I love you all, baby.
Bye.